Hey guys, my name's Brandon Naruda. I'm a new engineer. Graduated roughly in 2020, so roughly new engineer. Um, and throughout my senior year, I had a lot of job interviews and I had a lot of opportunities for internships and such. So I got a lot of interview experience under my belt. And through those interviews, I got some tips I'd like to give you to make you successful in your next interview. So, tip number one: be a normal person during the interview. Talk, be responsive, kind of as if you would anybody else. So if I kind of sat down with you at a coffee shop and we had like a casual conversation, that's kind of what I'm going off of. That's kind of how the interview should go. Keep it professional, but it doesn't need to be this uptight, strict, hard thing to get through for either of you. So if you make it enjoyable for yourself, you're going to make it enjoyable for the interviewer, and they're going to want to work with you more. So that's tip number one. Tip number two: don't be afraid of asking questions and talking, and just overall speaking to them. Get to know them. They'll get to know you. That's usually what happens. But it's also important for you to get to know them. Get to know, even if you're sitting down with 1, 2, or 3 people, try to understand them. Maybe they're not the type of people that you want to work with. Maybe you want to find out if your boss is a jerk, or is he coming off as somebody you'd get along with. These are all important things before jumping in. And so this tip will not only make you successful in the interview, but also kind of give you a better idea if you even want the job. 3, do your research. Different companies and professions have different vocabulary they use on a day-to-day. So if you brush up on this vocabulary and then you apply it to your interview, they're gonna look at you like, hey, this kid knows something. This person really knows what they're talking about. And even if you're new and you don't necessarily know everything yet, which most people don't, you're gonna come off like you know just a little more than the last guy they interviewed. And it's gonna make you more desirable. So yeah, research buzzwords and do your research and apply them to your interview. 4, this one's kind of an obvious one, but try to show up 10 minutes early to your interview. Obviously don't be late, but being a little early, 10 minutes usually, it's really gonna show to your potential future bosses or supervisors that, hey, this guy's punctual. This person's punctual. This is somebody I can count on for being here on time in the future, and that's a big deal to new employees. So, and it's a big first step in your first impression. 5, try to stay away from. This is something I noticed when I started being on the opposite end to the interview side, where we'd be interviewing new employees, and they would just have cookie cutter questions, like the basics, like I don't know, I can't think of any cookie cutter questions right now, but I don't know. Just avoid cookie cutter questions. Basically, if you're taking your interview questions, meaning like you're giving the interviewer questions that are straight from the internet, off Google first pick, that's usually a bad sign. Try to be unique. Ask the questions that matter. Don't ask these cookie cutter questions that they are hearing from every person they're interviewing. It's just not going to make you stand out. 6, another fairly obvious one, but I know a lot of jobs don't make you necessarily dress up. Maybe your job isn't formal at all and you're wearing scrubs or something. I personally think a job interview is a place to try to look your best. Meaning, if you're a girl, wear that dress that you think is too formal. If you're a guy, wear a tie, wear a blazer. You'd rather be the person to overdress than underdress. And again, it's all about that first impression. You really want to make it count. 7, you've probably heard around. Follow up on the interview. So if I had an interview today at 2, today at maybe before bed or tomorrow morning or even the next day, follow up with an email. Just, hey, thanks, I appreciate your time and consideration during the interview. I hope to hear from you soon. Something like that. So what that does is it, after a couple more interviews go by for them and they've kind of forgotten about you, because it will happen, that little email will jog their memory, like, oh yeah, we did interview that guy or that person, and he was and that person was great. Maybe we should give him a call. It just keeps you in the back of their mind, and it's worked for me every time, and I guarantee it'll work for you. This one's a big one. I don't see anyone do this, but bring 3 copies of your resume. I know you sent a PDF of your resume. We all know they have your resume. The person interviewing you, there's a good chance they won't have your resume on hand, and they're probably going to feel a little foolish for not having it. It happened every time I had an interview. Interviewer comes up, we're about to sit down and talk, and they left my resume, they forgot to print it. Hey, I've got 3 copies right here in a manila folder. You know what that shows? That shows, wow, this kid is prepared. This person's really prepared. That does a number in first impressions. And again, within the interview process, it's all about first impressions. Essentially, this is your first impression. 9, kind of a simple one again, but keep your cell phone on silent. Keep it away from the interview. Keep it in your pocket. Don't take it out unless it's an emergency. It just sends the wrong message. That's about all I gotta say for 9. 10, my last tip. If you're excited about working for the company you're applying to and you're interviewing for, show it. Don't hide it. If you're excited, make it known. With the way you talk and your expressions, really make it known. Hey, I'm excited to work here. That's not going to freak out your boss. It's not going to make them think you're childish in any way. It's going to show them, like, man, this person's really wants to work with us. It matters. I promise you it matters. So if you apply all these tips to your next job interview, I guarantee you they'll be begging to hire you, and keeps you more competitive. So, all right, that's my first video. Thank you.